10 things I wished I had learned sooner. So these are things that honestly, if someone had just sat me down and been frank with me and told me these are things I learned over time, and sometimes it was literally somebody saying, hey, look, you got to do this or you got to do that. Sometimes I just figured it out on my own, but it took so long. So if I had just one day to spend with somebody and I really wanted to make a difference, I think these things are going to make a bigger difference than camera settings and lenses and things like that. All right, so the first one is, I wish I had learned how important, how critical the act of simplicity is in photography, in keeping your images simple. And I spent so much of my career literally looking at a scene, and I'd pick up my camera, I look through it and go, man, this doesn't look good. What can I add to it to make it better? And so I never got it better because I kept thinking there's something missing from my scene. There wasn't. There was too much in my scene. I should have been thinking, how can I simplify my scene? How can I take stuff out of it? How can I make it my story stronger, my vision stronger, my creativity clearer? How can I get rid of stuff to where I just have this very simple scene? And I was going the other way most of my career. So when I had that, and somebody actually pointed it out to me, they said, go look at the shots of your favorite photographers. Do they pack a lot in there, or are they really, really simple? So I did it. I went and looked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the shots I love the most are these clean, simple shots. Take a look at this shot here on screen. And for a while, for whatever reason, for a long time, this was my #1 most liked image on Instagram. And it is a very simple image. It is, I saw it driving through there the day before with a buddy, and I said, I want to come back at dawn the next day. I wanted to come back at dawn because the light would be soft. Look how soft the light is. The colors would be pretty. The shadows would be soft, and there would be nobody on there. The day before, there's all kinds of cars and buses and tourists and everybody, but not at 6 in the morning. And so I did remove stuff here. I did simplify the scene. I simplified it by being there at dawn, so there's no tourists, there's no other cars, there's nothing there. And this would only happen at dawn. This is in Lisbon, Portugal. It's packed full of people. I mean, this is a main street. It is just packed all the time. But I simplified it by being there at dawn. I also did 2 other things. To simplify the scene, I removed graffiti, because the graffiti helps make it look more timeless. But I also removed a very big thing that no one's ever pointed out, but is one of the things that makes this a strong picture, is I removed all the wires and cables. So there should be electrical cables running all over the place. In fact, when I took the shot and opened it up, I should have named the image Lines and Cables, because there were wires everywhere. And I took the time in Photoshop to remove every single wire, and it makes it a very simple scene. So there were a lot of things going for it simplicity-wise, and then, of course, the added taking away the graffiti and the lines. But it's that kind of simplicity. When you compose or set up your shot to where there's just one main thing, or even if there is more than one main thing, you really are focused on, I'm only going to put the important things in this photo. I'm going to simplify this thing to a great extent. And like, for example, if I were to turn to the right a foot, just turn my camera 12 inches to the right, you would see 1,000 tourists, 100 tour buses, vendors, camels, salesmen, all kinds of stuff, like a whole circus going on to the right. And so I intentionally decided to not show that stuff, to show a little bit of the foreground on the right side, just to kind of have something to lead us into the photo. But it's simplifying the scene. This scene, taken in London, the young lady had a red umbrella, which was just sheer luck. But when I took the shot, she wasn't the only one there. There was about 4 or 5 people walking in different places, and it killed the scene. So I removed the other 4 people that are just wandering through the image to simplify the scene. You can simplify it, you know, like I did there, by removing things. You can simplify it by how you focus on just this one thing. For example, here, this is before a football game, for an NFL game. There's 200 people holding this flag all the way around. But by focusing just on this Marine and just on him, it makes so much of a stronger picture. So keeping it simple, not seeing the gallery, not seeing the TV cameras and the ropes and all the people, and just focusing here. You can do so many things by just keeping it simple. And that's something I really wished I'd learned a long time ago. Wonderful quote from Henry Matisse, and he seemed to do pretty well. He basically says this: if what's in the photo is not helping it, if it's not making it better, then it's making it worse. So be very careful about what you allow in your scene. I wish I'd learned that a lot earlier. Next, another thing I wish I'd learned earlier is how to practice. I've been doing it for so wrong for so many years. I'm going to use a golf metaphor to help explain it. See these folks here? They're high-fiving, they're playing golf, right? They're high-fiving, having fun, they're together, they're enjoying themselves. They're not getting a lick better at golf. They're playing golf. That's great, they're having fun. Golf's awesome, you should play golf. It's great, it's a very easy sport. Okay, it's very challenging, but it's a lot of fun. It's really a great social sport. But they're not getting any better at golf. You know who's getting better at golf? This guy. This guy's getting better at golf. He's actively out there hitting a ball again and again and again. He's working on some part of his game. Maybe he's working on his short game. Maybe he's working on drives. I don't know. But he's out there doing the thing that's not fun. He's not high-fiving anybody. He doesn't have a friend out there. He's not hanging out and enjoying himself. He's working. He's practicing, so that when he goes out to play next time, his results are better. So and playing around is fun. When you find yourself shooting like those high-speed water drops, right? Those are fun. When you're out there with some friends and maybe your photo club and you're doing the what do you call this? What's it called? Not a Brillo pad. It's a steel wool. They yelled from the control room. Thank you. Steel wool effect at night, and you're shooting water drops on the window. Those are all fun, but don't expect the phone to ring one day and say, I'm looking for the photo, I'm looking for a photographer and I need to get water drops on a window. Can you do that? These are just fun experiments to help you have fun, but they don't make you a lick better. You know what makes you better? Actually going out and practicing. This is getting up in the morning every day for a weekend and say, I'm going to shoot nothing but panos. I'm going to get really, really good at panos. I'm going to shoot them in the morning. I'm going to process them in the afternoon. I'm going to find out how to make them better. And I'm going to try again at night. Getting up the next morning, processing again, and then coming back the next weekend. And then one day, it all comes together. And you go out and shoot panos, and they're literally going to be hanging in galleries because you put in the time and you practiced, and now you're the pano queen. So I learned this hard lesson from my guitar playing. So I'm a guitar player. It's not my main instrument. My main instrument is keyboards. So I'm a piano player really, but guitar is my hobby. And I play in a band and I get to play guitar and it's a lot of fun. But it's just that, it's a lot of fun. So my wife asked me one day, I went to her actually and I said, and my wife's a musician as well. I went to her and said, honey, I've spent the last 3 years, I don't think I'm any better at guitar than I was before. I don't think I'm making any progress at all, and I played for 3 years. So she's like, okay, what's your practice routine? So I said, I go into my music room and I get a guitar and I play. She goes, what do you play? I go, well, I play my favorite songs, I'm playing Bon Jovi and Def Leppard and all my favorite songs, And then what do you do? And then I do that for like, a half hour or whatever, and then I'm done. And she goes, okay, are you working on scales? No. Are you working on speed stuff? There's a word for, I shouldn't, on that last break, I was drinking, I shouldn't have been. And it's messed me up. Speed drills, no. Are you doing anything to practice? So what you're doing is you're playing your favorite songs, and I know that's a lot of fun, but you're not learning anything new. And I have this look on my face like, it's the same way with photography. When we're doing these repetitious things that are fun and we go out shooting with our friends and we're just shooting whatever, we're not getting any better. Don't fool ourselves into thinking we are. Practice is practice. Practice isn't fun. Practice is the thing you do again and again and again. So when you go to have fun, instead of coming back with 5 keepers, you come back with 50. You're looking at 50 images and like, these are all so good, I don't know which one to pick. That's where we get from practice. Practice is that important. Number 3, wish somebody told me about this, and I get a lot of questions about this, how to make money at photography. I'll tell you this, there has never been a better time than right now to make money at photography. There's so many ways to make money. But here's the problem. Let's say that you want to license your prints, or you want to sell prints, or you want to get hired for jobs. Here's the thing. How in the world is anybody going to find you? Do you have a huge advertising budget? Do you have a marketing firm? Like, how are people going to find you? Are you going to do direct mail? Or what are you going to do? I got a shortcut for you. If you want to get discovered, here's what you got to do. You absolutely, positively, you have to be on Instagram. It is a must. I'm going to share this quote with you from Dan Rubin, and he's right on the money here. Here's why. Because every day, all over the world, art directors, photo buyers, ad agencies, social media directors, all these people all over the world, photo buyers, all these people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is go to the only social media that is for photography, is Instagram. Instagram is the biggest thing on earth. It is eating the entire earth, and it's where everybody goes. If you're in there, you have a chance of getting seen, and you don't have to, and well, that's what the rest of this little segment is about. So while I'm putting this presentation together, I kid you not, I get a little notification, and it says, time to check in for your Delta flight. You can tell this was a while ago. Anyway, so I go to Delta's website. What's on Delta's homepage? Instagram shot. It even puts the Instagram user's name in the bottom right-hand corner. They licensed this photo from this Instagram user because they found them on Instagram. A couple weeks later, I'm flying on a Delta jet, on the seat in front of me on a little TV. Here's another one. They licensed this photo. And there's her Instagram address and where the location is. So either someone at Delta's social media or somewhere, they're licensing the images. And I'm like, holy cow, I'm doing this presentation and there it is. So I want to just spend 2 minutes on how to build an Instagram strategy for success, because you got to be on there. First, the thing to know is it's free to be on Instagram. Just go sign up and then you're in and it's free. Boom, you're done. You can do it tonight and you've got your, hopefully your name is still available. If your name is Scott Kelby, it's available. Well, it was available. But if your name's Bob Jones, you're probably going to have to be Bob Jones 123 or Bob Jones 2006. You're going to have to. Anyway, there's a lot of Bob Joneses. All right, here's one of the biggest things I can tell you. This is so important. When you build your Instagram strategy, just pick one photographic topic. That's your thing. Pick one photographic topic. I learned this the hard way. When I started my Instagram, I was going nowhere. I was getting nobody. I mean, it was terrible. Because I would do, hey, here's behind the scenes for a football game. Oh, look, here's me getting on a train. Look, I'm in Boston. Hey, here's what I had for breakfast. I'm just all over the place. I'm showing, oh, here's a landscape photo. Here's, just whatever. Here's a portrait. I literally was getting nowhere. It wasn't until I decided to get on one photographic topic that literally my numbers took off. And so I decided to just do travel, right? So here's why this one category is so important. So someone sees one of your photos, and it's a travel photo, and they go, ooh, I love travel photography. I love seeing different places in the world, right? So they're gonna follow you. So they follow me. And so this is on Monday. And then on Tuesday, look, another photo, another travel photo. I love this. This is great. And then on Wednesday, I post a bird photo. And they're looking in their feed, and they're like, what is this? I don't like bird photography. Unfollow. That's it. When you go off topic, they look and they're thinking, why am I seeing a bird photo? And then you show a picture of you and your friends. Hey, we're all hanging out together. Unfollow. Nope, I followed you for travel photography. When you go off topic, I'm no longer interested. So it is absolutely critical that you pick a category and stick with it. Now, I will tell you this up front. You can have more than one Instagram account. So you could have Scott Kelby Travel, which I have, which is just Scott Kelby, or you can have Scott Kelby Portraits, or Scott Kelby. You can have multiple categories. But when somebody follows you to see a category, maybe that's all they follow. All of a sudden, you throw a cat photo in there, boom, they're gone. All right, that's number one. Number two, this is straight from Instagram. Only post one photo per day. So when you start getting numbers, all of a sudden Instagram starts sending you emails. Hey, we notice you're growing. Here's how to grow more. This is directly from them. Only post one photo per day. This next one is really important. You must always add hashtags or search terms at the end of your description. So what this does is it allows people to find you and hopefully then follow you, because people get up in the morning and they search for cats, or they search for pets, or they search for Italy, or they search for whatever, and you want to show up in there. Here's what it looks like in a post. So this is one of my wife's accounts, Maggie and Maki. Those are our dogs, Maggie the Wonder Dog and Maki the Super Dog. And she'll post all these great photos. She's really good at dog photography. She posts all these photos. Of course, we have very attractive dogs. Okay, so when she's done, she will type in all these like hashtags. Those are all search terms. So when you type them in at the end of your thing, now when someone searches for dogs, that photo of Maggie the Wonder Dog, well, you only see a portion of her, but she's stunning, shows up. That picture will appear in there, and it'll appear in puppies, and it'll appear under cute dog, and it'll appear on cotton detouliers, or Catone detouliers, all that stuff. So that's what they're for. Another thing, this is just a tip. So when people see your images, they see them at a very small size, smaller than what you've seen here. They show up like this. So if you search for travel, you get up in the morning, you hit travel. You don't have to hit the pound sign. You just type in travel. And that's how small the images are. So if you have an image that looks good at a small size, there's a reasonable chance somebody will click on it. So one of my images in there, it's right there. So that is a model that we hired for my Rome workshop. So I was doing a workshop in Rome. We hired a model. We rented a Vespa. We told her we wanted to dress like the 1940s. And then we did a whole photo shoot with her for the class. And it was a blast. We had a great time. She was awesome, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I'm hoping is they see that. They see that image and go, well, that's interesting, and they tap on it. They tap on it, now they just see your image. The goal here is that they click on your name and see all of your images. And they go, oh, okay, this is a travel photographer. I like this, because people will post, like I said, they'll post a picture of their cat and they'll post a picture of Venice. So they want to make sure I'm not getting cats in here. So if they like you and they like what they see, then they follow you. Why is getting people to follow you so important? Because now every photo you post appears in their stream. So the next day, you post a picture of Cuba, a picture you took in Cuba, they don't have to go to look for travel. In their own feed, when they wake up in the morning of who they follow, your photo is going to appear in there. What if the person that just followed you owns a museum, or is a museum curator, or a photo buyer, or the social media person for Delta? That's why you want to get in their stream. That's why you want to give them what they ask for. I like travel photos, and send me more. That's what they're saying when they hit follow. I like travel photos, I'm following you now. That is until you post a picture of a friend that's off topic. And you know what they go? Well, that's it, I'm out, unfollow. Stick to that category. All right, here's another bonus. You'll learn which images people like. When you have an Instagram account, you'll put up photos and you'll find exactly which ones you like, which will help you make money, because you can sell your images online. And so many people do this. It's insane how many people are making money from selling their images as prints. Now, here's what I do. I use this company called SmugMug. SmugMug is an online service that basically provides you with a photography website. It's a template, you just upload your images. But here's what's cool about SmugMug. You basically set up your gallery and you get to choose what size you want to sell your images. So they don't force you into anything. You're like, I'm going to choose what size, I'm going to choose what I want them printed on. Like you could say, I only want my images printed on fine art paper. I only want my images printed on metallic. I only want images that are 16 by 20 or larger. I mean, you have complete control of the type of paper your images are printed on, the size they're printed on. You even get to choose the photo lab. They have a number of photo labs that are great, like Bay Photo or MPix or Miller's Imaging. I mean, like top quality labs. Choose the one that you're most comfortable with. And any one of those three, by the way, are great choices. Choose your lab, and they take care of everything. That's it. You know what? You know what your interaction is with SmugMug? They send you a check. Let's talk about that check, because they do something pretty interesting. Check it out. When you sell an image, you split the profits 85-15. You get the 85 part. And their 15% includes the credit card charges, like the Visa or American Express charges are included in that split, in their 15%. So basically, they'll tell you up front, all right, you want to buy a print. The print costs 79 cents, and you want to sell your print for $10.79, all right? Well, we split $8.50, the profit that's left over from the print and the cost of the, is $8.50, and we split it. I get 85%, Smug Mug gets 15%, and they do all the work. So that's what's cool. There's another company called Zenfolio that does a similar plan. Their pro plan is $20 a month whether you sell something or not. But if you do sell something, they charge you a 9.9% service fee, but it does include the credit cards. Both of these are good. I've never tried Zenfolio, but I've heard great things. Then there's Squarespace. Squarespace puts up beautiful sites for photographers, and they take credit cards. Why don't I use Squarespace? Because Squarespace falls down in one big area. Where Squarespace falls down is, Squarespace sends me an email that says, Bob Johnson just bought your 16 by 20 print. Better get it to him. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's on me. I have to make the print or send it to a lab. I have to package it. I have to ship it. I have to do everything. It's all on me. And then I have to provide customer service if the package shows up bent or it needs to be reprinted or something's wrong. It's all on me. I don't like that. Smug Mug, it does all the stuff, right? So there's that. Okay, the next one is interesting. So there's also a place called Art Storefronts, which I think is quite a good company, but it's very expensive to start it off. I did a half-hour call with them. I thought about doing it. They wanted, like, I want to say $2,200 to start it off. And it is, they've got a template for the website and all. But here's the thing, and this is why I didn't go with them, because they told me something that scared the heck out of me on the call. They said, look, we're basically your marketing department. We're going to give you marketing stuff, and you're going to market your images. And that's what our job is. Our job is about helping you sell. If you need help selling, there's a lot of sites that'll put up a website for you, but we're all about getting you sales. We're going to help you set up an email newsletter. We're going to show you what to tweet, what to put on Facebook, how to work the system, how to do all this stuff to get sales. That's their big thing. But what they said that freaked me out was, this becomes your full-time job. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're like, no, this is a 40-hour-a-week minimum job. Like, you're working on selling your stuff all the time. That's your gig. And I'm like, I already got a gig. So I didn't go with them. However, because I didn't go with them, every 2 weeks they send me a list of all the people who are making money and then why I should have gone with them. So I'm going to show you an email they sent me with a list of recent sales. Well, at the time that they did this, they sent me I got a couple this weekend. They're like, look at all the money you could have made. Anyway, I'm going to show it to you for a very important reason. I want you to see the images and the amounts of money people are making selling prints. Take a look. Here we go. So with this first one, sold for $3,400. Some aspen trees. This one sold for about $2,200. That's a pretty good deal. This one sold for almost $2,000. This one sold for about $1,350. This one sold for about $1,000. Now, I can't see this, but I would love to see the look on your face right now as you're looking at those images and you're going, I need to be selling my images. You're probably looking at those images and you're thinking, well, I have shots as good as that or better, right? I'm just going to say it. Nothing against those photographers. They're fine shots, but you're probably watching this, and I got to imagine that you're looking at those and going, they paid $3,400 for those aspens. Why would anybody do that? Here's why. This is what is holding so many photographers back. You're thinking like a photographer. You're looking at those photos for their photographic merit. Is that a great shot? Is it noisy? Is it grainy? Is it exciting? Is it this, that, or the other? Look, I'll tell you up front, when you go to sell your images online, another photographer is not going to buy your photos. You're not going to sell your images to other photographers because other photographers will look at your photos and go, I can do better than that, right? Okay, remember that there's only two things that photographers can agree on, and then that is that the third photographer isn't very good. All right, back to our story. So here's why you're missing it. You're looking it through the eyes of a photographer, but photographers aren't going to buy your work. You know what happened with that aspen? Somebody saw that image that's not a photographer, just a consumer, whatever. They saw that image and said, oh my gosh, that would look perfect in my living room. It matches my couch, it matches the chairs. I love aspens. How much? $3,400? Here, done. They're looking at a whole different thing. They're looking at how it fits into their lives and how it fits into their room and into their, that would look great in my offices of my, pediatric firm. That would look great at, they're looking at a whole different set of things than you are. That's why those images that, as to a photographer, they're like, but to a buyer, they're like, man, I want that in my lobby. I remember when I was sailing that day, and that reminds me of that day sailing. I remember that pier up there. Oh, it's beautiful. I want that. People are buying images for tons and tons of money for all kinds of different reasons. All right, let's move on. So something to consider. Think about that. Next is selling your images as stock. It's never been easier to do than ever, and one place that's doing really well is Adobe stock. Adobe bought a huge stock company, made it their own, and it's really blossomed since then. So stock images. I'm not going to make any money of them because you'll go online and look and people go, oh, Adobe stock doesn't pay you crap. They pay you so little per image. It's actually true. They pay you very little per image. Might even be $1 or something or less. It's not a lot. But here's what I would ask you. Okay, you know that hard drive full of images on your desk? How much is it earning sitting there? Oh, nothing? Zero? So $1 is 100% more than you're earning? Look, you're not going to put your best shots up there. You're not going to put your portfolio shots. You're not going to put up shots you're asking $3,000 for. It's the other shots that are just sitting there doing nothing. You're going to put them up there. So a friend of mine did that. He was skeptical. He put up 100 images. Nothing happened. Put up another 100 images the next week. Nothing. Put up another couple hundred the next week. And finally he got a sale. Then another. Then another. So he kept putting up images. He didn't put them all up at once. He just put them up over every weekend. I'm going to put a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there. And all of a sudden he's got thousands of images up there. And so those images now pay for his car payment. His red Tesla looks exactly like this. This is exactly his car. Red brake calipers, Tesla Model S, beautiful car. And you know what? It's paid for while he sleeps. He's sound asleep. And he likes to send me emails that show his email inbox with a list of all the images he sold that morning. And he's like, oh, just wanted to let you know, I was making my payment while I was sleeping. He's not even the guy that I know that's to invest on it. The other guy sends me his account page screen capture. What was it, 109,000, 110,000 off of Adobe stock. Now he has like 16,000 images up there. He didn't put them up in a weekend. Put them up over time, over a couple of years. It's going to take you hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of images to start selling. But once it takes off, it can really take off. So something to consider. All right, next, number 4, something I wish somebody told me is you got to evaluate your own work. You have to become really, really good at looking at a bunch of photos that look similar and picking a winner. It's just part of your job. It's one of the differences between an amateur and a pro. So sometimes we have a gallery opening here at the offices and we have to hire a photographer. And if I hire an amateur photographer, when the gallery's over, they're like, here's 400 images. And sometimes they give me one selfie. Here's 400 images. You know what a pro gives me? The best 30. A pro goes through, they know what makes a good image. They go, here's the shots. If you need the rest, I have them, but here's the 30 best. And I'm like thrilled because that's their job. Their job is to know what makes a good picture. We have to be able to look at a whole bunch of pictures that look the same, and we have to be able to go, that's the one. We have to go look at images that are similar. It's part of our job. It is part of our job as photographers. For example, I'll give you an example. So a friend of mine got married, and they hired a photographer. Thankfully, it was not me. Anyway, hired a photographer because wedding is hardest job in photography, like to me, period. Hardest job, stress, hard, fun, hard. Anyway, photographer took, I don't know, 2,600 images, Sent them all 2,600 and said, pick the ones you want on the album. What? I asked her how she described the experience of trying to pick the images for the album. She said it was absolute misery. You know why? Because it wasn't her job. Look, that's not the client's job. You're a photographer, you're a creative person. Your job is to pick the images. If I shoot a wedding, what I do is I put the book together myself. I put it together myself. Do you know why? Because I can do it really fast. I don't have all the emotion that's involved in it because I'm just trying to make pictures that look great together, that look wonderful in a book. That's our job. We're photographers, we're creative people. So I send them this PDF of the book. What do they say? Oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Then what do they say? Can I make a few changes? Yeah. How many changes do they usually make? 5. That's it. They have the book overnight. The next day they're like, hey, here's the 5 we want changed. Great, done, boom. That's part of our job. It's a skill that you have to get good at. And if you're sitting there saying, I'm just not any good at it, you're going to have to get friends to help you at first to pick out what the good ones are, so you start to recognize what the good ones are. It's a skill we have to master as a photographer, which somebody told me a long time ago. Next, this is important, why the print matters. Why does making a print matter so much? It never matters more than it does today. First off, there's the connection. When you hand someone a print, you're unlocking another sense. And what I would tell you to do is look at their hands when you hand them the print. They're holding the print and they're like, wow, this is beautiful. Well, look at their hands. They're feeling the paper. They're like, I love this, because we connect at a different level. I remember taking parenting classes when my son was a toddler, and we went, and one of the things that stuck out to me was they said, look, when your kid does something really good, they're like sharing with another kid. Like, you know, little Tommy was really good sharing today. Don't just go, hey, good job sharing. They're like, you have to touch your kid. You have to hug them or hold their hands or hold their shoulders or do something. You got to do something because it connects with them. It tells them this is important. When you touch them, that extra sense makes a difference. When you're touching the print, it's real. We've been looking through it small, through a little piece of glass, right, on our phone or on our computer. Now you're holding it, it's real. It has a real connection. Next is you stand out. If I do a client job or somebody lets me shoot in some place, I ask for special permission or whatever, I don't tell them I'm sending a print, I just do. It blows them away. Why? Because nobody sends a print. I do. Send them a nice 16 by 20 or bigger, send it to them, it comes in a flat box, they open it up. They always call me, they're freaked out, they love it, they just go crazy. I got lucky enough to shoot in I was in Australia, and I wanted to shoot in the Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Opera House does not want anyone shooting in there, even with a cell phone. So we went through a friend of mine to their PR, got me in, and I got to shoot. They gave me an hour to shoot in there. They were super nice and friendly and everything. And so when I got back to America, I sent them prints. I just printed 4 of them, put them in a box, and sent them all the way there. And the place was beautiful, of course. It was crazy, unbelievable, just ludicrous. And I met the lighting guys, and they're like, hey, we can change this to whatever color you want. Just let us know, and we can change the whole inside. Got the run of the place for an hour. It was great. So I sent the prints. Oh, by the way, real quickly. When I was leaving the Sydney Opera House, before I got back home, I'm at the door, thank you very much, and I'm talking to the PR woman who let me in. And she goes, by the way, when you post these on Instagram, can you please add the hashtag I love Sydney? That's just for any photo that you post to ours, please put that on there. She didn't say, put this on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. She didn't mention anything else. She only mentioned one thing, Instagram, because it's the only one people care about. Back to our story. So I send her the prints. I get a note back from her immediately. She says, what a lovely surprise. The purple concert hall image is hanging in a place of pride above my desk. It's hanging on the wall in the Sydney Opera House. So if I want to go back years later, 3-4 years now since I was there, if I want to go back and shoot again, if I send her a note and say, hi, you may not remember me, but I'm the guy that took the photo hanging behind your desk, the purple one, that's me. Can I come in 2 weeks from now and shoot? What do you think she's going to say? Oh yeah, come on in. When do you want to come? What time? What if I said this? Hey, you don't remember me, but 4 years ago, I emailed you some photos I took there. Yeah, I don't remember you. You stand out when you make a print. Next, there's the impact of scale. Seeing things large are just so impressive. It makes such a, every picture, even crappy pictures look good big. Imagine how great good pictures look. So we want to see our pictures big, but here's how most people see our pictures. They see them on Instagram. And you're thinking, well, that looks pretty big. Yeah, because that's not actual size. There's what you really see. All right. What size do we want them to see? This is what we want them to see. Big. Well, I want to tell you a story about that. So I want to introduce you to Melanie Kern-Favilla. Melanie is just the most awesome person. So we run a contest at Kelby One for Kelby One members. And what we try to do, now this was my wife's idea. She said, I want to do something to get our members more exposure. We have such great, talented people, but they're not full-time working pros, so no one's going to know about their work. I want to find a way to elevate them. So she came up with the idea of creating an art gallery. So we actually built a beautiful art gallery. In fact, it's right down that hall. If you take a right, it's over there. It's a full art gallery. And what we do is we run a contest. You send in a body of work, and if you win the contest, we fly you and a spouse or a friend or whoever to our headquarters in Florida. We take you to dinner and all that stuff. Then the next day, we have a gallery opening. It's a solo showing of your work. The entire gallery is your images printed beautifully by Bay Photo. They look stunning. Then we have a wine and cheese reception. We invite everybody in. It's a packed house. And then we go and we have a theater here. It's down the hall that way and to the right. We have a theater that seats 60-something people, and it's got stadium seating, and we actually do a presentation about you and your work. It's open to everybody. We broadcast it on Facebook Live. The whole idea is to get them more exposure. Well, here's Melanie standing in a gallery. Now, she came in, and you can see some more pictures. This is her gallery opening, and you can see the theater and all the stuff. Bottom right corner, that's her and her husband, Dave. I love Dave. Get this. Dave is the drummer in a Kiss tribute band. I followed him around like a puppy for the whole weekend. Anyway, the night before the showing, we actually take, well, in this case, Melanie and Dave to dinner. But before we go to dinner, we let them come to the gallery and see it completely empty. So there's no people in there. It's just them, to get a chance to see the gallery with their work. So Melanie and Dave come in. My wife, Kelby, and I are there. And we all come in together, and they walk in the door, and she sees her images on the wall, and she starts bawling. She's just crying, and she's bawling. And then she's hugging Dave, and he's crying, and we're all hugging. We're standing there, one big group up. We're all crying. It's just, we're bawling. We don't even know why. But she was just so overwhelmed. So she finally, recomposes herself, and she's like, I'm sorry. And she kind of gets it together. And she says, I'm so sorry I got upset. And we're like, no, it's okay. She said, I've never seen one of my images in print. Well, we were just it sucked the oxygen out of the room. We're like, oh my gosh. And she said, they're so big and they're so beautiful, and I've just never seen, and we were just like, can I show you some of Melanie's pictures? Let me just really quickly show you. Just take a look. These are gorgeous. And by the way, let me just show you a picture of Melanie again. So there's Melanie, so you have her picture in her mind. I said that she's not a full-time pro photographer. Do you know what her job is? She drives the trains on the Long Island Railroad. She is a train engineer. She's up front, woo, woo. She's got the greatest job. That's her day job. But at night, she makes these beautiful, beautiful images. Look at these. This one's my favorite. I told her so. I told her this is my favorite. We had the first one in the gallery as we come in, and I just thought, it's so, the lighting is so subtle, it's so beautiful. And they're just interesting stuff, beautifully lit. I just love it. So about 2 weeks after the gallery showing, we made friends with Melanie now. We all love her. She's teaching at Photoshop World. She's teaching there. She did a class for us. People, after they saw her interview, they're like, you got to show us how you do this. And she did a class on Kelby One, and she's just a hero. We love her. 2 weeks after the gallery showing, I get this. She sent me one of her prints. It's hanging in my home. I see it every single day. That's the power of a print. I see it every single day. And that she embraced that like that, it was just, I felt like she did when she walked into when I opened that box and it was there. It has value. A print has real value, and I want to prove it to you. Let's say that you walk by an art gallery and you see this print hanging on the wall, and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. That's Mont Saint-Michel in France. And you're like, oh, I love that print. I got to get it. You go up to the gallery owner and you say, okay, how much is it for this print? It would be perfect in my living room. And the gallery owner says, well, it's $1,200. And you're like, okay, that's a lot of money, but I just love it. Okay, and you hand over your credit card, and they charge your card, and the manager says, here you go. And they hand you a USB drive with that image on it, high resolution. So let me ask you, do you go, thank you, and walk out of the gallery? I doubt it. So, you know and I know, we're not going to pay $1,200 for a USB drive with the same image on it, right? So, what would we pay? $800? $600? $400? It's the same image, it's high res. $200? Do you see the power of the print? How much does the print cost? $36. But it's worth $1,200. That's the power of the print. Alrighty? Lastly, printing protects your visual history. If you put your images on a hard drive, you can count the days before it dies. The company I use to back up my stuff in the cloud is called Backblaze. And it's the reason I use them, they're so inexpensive. It is $5 a month, unlimited storage, and it just backs up my computer, it backs up my hard drive with all my images, it just, you know. Anyway, they publish a report every year about all the hard drives they buy, because they have thousands and thousands of hard drives, they buy thousands of new ones each year. In their report on the health and safety of all their stuff, 13% of the brand new hard drives that they buy are dead within the first year. They die within the first year. By 5 years, almost half of them are dead. If your plan to pass on your images to your family was to stick them on multiple hard drives, they're probably never going to be able to see those images. Say what you want about what our parents did, which was stick those bunch of photos in a shoebox. Say what you want. It worked. And the only reason why I have this picture of me as a toddler from some 31 years ago is because my parents did that. They threw that image in a box, and that's why I have it to this day. So I wish somebody just said, make more prints. I make prints now. I make prints on a regular basis. I use Bayphoto and MPix quite a bit. I have my own printers. Just depends on how much time I have. But when you make prints, it makes a difference. So I wish somebody really sat me down and let me know how important making prints are. Number 6, how to find the right camera. So you might be using the wrong one. Like, think about it. Today's cameras, they all take great pictures. They all take great pictures. I don't care if you get an Olympus, a Fuji, Sony, Nikon, whatever. Every one of them takes great pictures. Great, great, great pictures. In fact, if you make prints, you would never know. So take a look. Look at these images. I took one with a Sony mirrorless. I took one with a Nikon. I took one with a Canon. Which one is which? Take a look at them. Tell me which one's which. You can't. At the end of the day, nobody can look at the images that we take, you make prints or put them on the web, and tell you what camera it was taken with. Well, you just can't. So that's the thing. If nobody can tell the difference in the final image, you make sure that you're using a camera that speaks to you, that inspires you, that makes you want to shoot. So, oh, by the way, I know that some of you are watching this with friends or with family members, and if you just leaned over and said, I knew it was those three, I just want you to know, I never said those are the three that it was. Those are just the 3 camera brands. The actual photos that I took are here. So, there's that. All right, so why is it important for you to have the right tool? Well, this is the tool that you make your art with. First, ask yourself this question. How did I wind up with my camera brand? Just ask yourself that question. You know how I wound up with my original camera brand? That's what my brother did. My brother chose this brand, and when he was done, he gave me his hand-me-downs. So I wound up shooting on that brand for 20 years or whatever. Not because it was the right camera for me, not because I carefully researched it, not because I felt inspired by it. It's because my brother gave it to me. How did you wind up on yours? Careful consideration? Or did you wind up with it because your neighbor had it? Or your neighbor sold you your camera cheap? Go to the camera store, hold them all, fire them all, go through their menus, try them all. The only way, because here's what you might find. You might find that you are on the camera that speaks to you, because I'm telling you guys, don't underestimate how a camera feels in your hand. It's the big thing. It either feels perfect and feels great and you can't wait to shoot it, or not. And you know what's a cool thing to do? Think about this. Go to Lowe's or go to Home Depot or whatever your giant store that has outdoor stuff is, and you'll see a grill there that is the king of grills. And I'm just talking to the guys here. You'll see that grill and you'll look at that grill and you're like, dude, if I had that grill, I'd be grilling all the time. I'd be grilling every weekend. You already have a grill, but if you had that grill, you'd be grilling more. You know what that tells you? That grill would inspire me to cook. That grill would inspire me to cook out more. What that's telling you is, if you have a camera that's the right one for you, that feels great in your hands and you love it, you would shoot more. You would do more. It's that big a thing. My wife, when we go to Blick, which is a very popular art store, my wife's a traditional artist. We'll go down my daughter too, we'll go down the aisle and she'll see these particular brand of brushes that she loves. And she pulls one out and she will hug it. She'll like, oh, I love this brush, I love this brush. Does that brush make her paint better? I mean, it's the same bristles as everything. I mean, does it really make her paint better? Yes, it actually does. Because it inspires her. When she's holding that brush, she loves it. It makes her want to paint. So it does. It makes her, she loves it so much, she connects with it. It's the tool that she creates with her art, and it matters. Just make sure you're on the right camera. That's all I'm saying. Because you might find out you're on the perfect one, or you might find out you spent 20 years on the wrong brand. All right, next. The value of slowing down. I wish somebody had sat me down and said, stop racing from place to place. Stop trying to get to the next shoot. Make something of where you're at. All right, I want to introduce you to Jay Maisel. You may already know Jay. He's a living legend of photography. But at Kelby One, we did a class with Jay a number of years ago called A Day with Jay Maisel, where we walked out of Jay's house in Manhattan and followed him with a camera crew. Followed him on the subway, on buses, in the back of cabs, as we went all over New York. And Jay is just amazing. I am in the class, but only as a moderator. So I'm basically there to kind of help keep the class moving and ask questions that I would think to ask if I was watching it myself. So I got a clip from there where Jay is talking about the value of slowing down. And it's in New York, it's on the busy street, so I closed captioned it for you so you can see it or hear it better. So take a look and see what you think.
Somebody once said, you know, if you go out shooting, you get exercise. Not me, because I walk slow. I try to walk as slow as I can possibly walk. And when I teach my workshops, one of the things I explain is, you know, they took great pictures from the moon. They take great pictures from satellites. You can take good pictures from a jet, from a helicopter, from a car. But it's not until you start walking that you can take intimate things of people. Before that, it's all patterns and planes and angles and impersonal stuff. When you're walking, and walking slowly, you can start seeing relationships between people. You can start seeing things that are going to happen before they happen if you're walking slow enough. If you're not walking slow and you're just trying to cover ground, you're going to miss things. No, things won't happen in front of you. It's like that thing I told you before. If you have a place and you find a place and that's the stage, the players will come. And one of the kids in my class said the thing he discovered most in photographing the St. Patrick's Day parade is that something that I said to him, just stop walking. Wait and see what happens. And I found him in the middle of the parade while I was shooting. And he said, "This is great. I'm just standing here. Everything comes to me." But most of us run around trying to cover as much ground as possible. And it's not about covering ground. It's about having something happen in front of you. And nothing happens if you're running.
Oh, good point.
Wish somebody told me that sooner. He's got great advice. All right, next is why presentation is so important. How we show our work matters. This presentation that you're looking at, when I put this together, I wanted it to look great. I wanted it to be really slick. I spent my life, and you probably have too, looking at PowerPoint presentations that look like this. But we're visual people, and how it looks matters, and I wanted it to look great for you. Now, this goes through a lot of things. For example, there's a pro look, there's a consumer look. So the consumer look, if you take your images to the pharmacy to get them printed, your local photo lab, they're going to print edge to edge because that's how consumers are used to getting their images. If you're a photographer and you start to sell those images, what's the first thing you do? You put a border on them so they look good. You put a border around them so it focuses and gives that air, it gives that little breathing room. That's what you do because it works. Now, one thing that I do is this. I'll share my images online as fine art layouts like this. And people will always, if I put them up online like this, people are like, how did you do that? Where did you do that? Believe it or not, it is built into Lightroom. It is a template called the Fine Art Mat. It's built in Lightroom Classic because it's the only one that has a print module. Lightroom Regular, the cloud version, does not allow you to print. So you can only send email images to a lab. You can't actually make your own prints. But anyway, there's a little Fine Art Mat you can click on, and then you can save this as a JPEG. You can literally go to the print job panel, save it as a JPEG. Now, I take it a step further. Remember those images I showed you of the cars that I took with 3 different cameras? Well, I made that frame that you saw. So the frame that you see, the one you see on screen right now, is actually done completely in Photoshop. But it was based on a photo that I took on my iPhone, but the iPhone didn't have enough resolution and it didn't look quite as clean. So this is hanging in the Delta Sky Club. Apparently I spend too much time on Delta. Saw this in their Sky Club. I love the way it was matted and laid out. And so I took a picture of it and then I built it in Photoshop. And so I can drop my own photos in there like what you see right there. Now, I made a video for you on how to do that. You will be stunned at how easy it is. You're going to be like, what? All the shadows, the whole 9 yards, it's just so easy. I made a video for you. I'm not going to take you through it here in class because you may not care to actually make one of those. But once you do, you share them and people will go, that's amazing. How did you do that? It's so easy. You're going to be like, even if you've never used Photoshop before, you'll be able to follow right along with me and it's going to look just like that when you're done. All right, but that's not how I share my images today. I use a thing called Adobe Spark Page. Adobe Spark Page, I think, is the best way to show your images online, period, and it automatically resizes for your tablet or for your phone. What it does, and I love about it, is it takes over your screen. So this was a Adobe Spark Page that I did after my trip to Rome, and it allows you to do photo storytelling without any web experience whatsoever, and your images literally, look how they take over the screen. You just type, and it types a headline, and it types paragraph. Looks wonderful for things like panos because they go all the way across the screen. And it's just the greatest photo storytelling. A friend of mine went to Nepal and went hiking, and last night he sent me his Adobe Spark Page, and it was fantastic. Now, he had sent me images by email, but they look so much better in Spark. I like night and day. And so, anyway, there's the pano. Look, there's the pano. And what's cool about Adobe Spark is, if you've got any of the Adobe subscriptions, the $10 a month, whatever, it's included. You're already paying for it. Just go to spark.adobe.com, and I made you a video on how to make your own Spark page. You'll make it in about 10 minutes. And in my workshops, when I do my hands-on workshops around the world, I have all my students make a Spark page. I teach them in class, and we make them right then and there, and then everybody sends me their Spark pages for me to check out their stuff, and I love it. I love it, love it. It's the best way to show your images online. You're already paying for it. Number 9 of the 10 things. So much of photography, almost any genre that you shoot, is literally about capturing a moment. That's what makes a picture special. But people ask me, what is a moment? Well, a moment is that moment where an eagle is coming down, and the moment it grabs the little fish and the fish is struggling to get away, that's a moment, right? So if you're a wildlife photographer, that would be it. If you're a sports photographer, it's not when someone hikes the ball or throws the ball. Those are all nice, but that happens very routinely. In fact, I'll tell you a story. I was shooting for the University of Tennessee Vols. I was shooting on their photo team. And so I'm there for the Vols. It's the end of the game. They're about to beat the South Carolina Gamecocks. No time left on the clock, an easy kick. The kicker makes it, they win. And he's going to make it. It's short. It's kind of a no-brainer. But I know this from shooting enough football. As soon as he kicks it, everyone will run over and, smother him, and because he kicked the winning goal, and you won't get a very good picture. So at the last minute, I'm aimed at the kicker. At the last minute, I thought, you know what? I got to get a better picture than this. And I turned, and I aimed at the bench where the players are all sitting, well, they're mostly standing now, but they're all sitting, and they're all looking like, are we going to win? Are we going to win? Because I figure, look, if he makes it, I'll get a great reaction. If he misses it, I'll get a great reaction. If he misses the kick, they'll be, yelling and throwing their helmets. I thought, I can't lose. So at the last minute, I went, boom, and I focused on them. Well, he kicks the kick, and I'll tell you tomorrow. No, he makes the kick. He makes the kick. I turn at the bench. The bench explodes. They won the game. Everyone's thrilled. It was the right call to make that I switched over to that. And that was a moment. You know what else was a moment? When I walked in months later into the locker room at the University of Tennessee, and that shot that I took is like 60 feet long across the wall of the football workout room. Look at my face. I'm like, woo! That's a moment. A moment in a concert isn't when the guitar player walks up to sing. That's not a moment. It's when the guitar player decides to do a backflip off the drum riser. That's a moment. And it's not when the bride's sitting there checking her Facebook page, but when she reaches down to the flower girl and they share a moment and you capture that moment. These moments that we capture, the photos don't have to be that great. The moment does. And this is just a cell phone photo of my son holding his baby sister for the first time. And I will say this, it's important to have images like that because that time goes fast. He went from a little boy to graduating from college really, really quick. And that's a year ago. Roll Tide. Okay, so you'll be faced often with this moment or this decision where you have to decide, do I capture the moment or do I compose it first? Just get the moment. Forget about everything else. Capture the moment. You can crop it later. The important thing is capturing the moment. In almost every genre of photography, capturing that moment will win. Last one, learn to separate memory from reality. So every Wednesday at 4 p.m., Eric Kuna, who is a rocket and landscape photographer, joins me on a show called The Grid. We've been doing it for 7 years now. It's Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we just talk about photography. Once a month, we do a thing called Blind Photo Critiques, and that is where we ask our viewers to send in their images. We don't ask for their names, so we can give an honest critique, and then we give them an honest critique. So we're not worried about hurting anybody's feelings because we don't know their names or who it is, and nobody else does either. So I want to show you a typical thing that we will get on The Grid. We'll get a picture that looks like this. That's not unusual for us to see an ugly dead tree shot like this. Now, why are we getting shots like this? Why do people send us a dead tree? It's because at some point in their life, they saw a really cool dead tree shot. It's not the tree they're standing in front of. Maybe they saw a shot like this. Or maybe on Instagram they saw a shot like this. Those are epic trees with epic skies and epic composition in epic light. But that's not what they're standing in front of. They're standing in front of this. This is a stupid tree in stupid light with a stupid sky. It's a stupid shot. So here's the thing. We need to learn to, like in our mind, yes, you can make a good shot of a tree, but it's got to be the right tree and the right, all these things have to come together. It doesn't just happen because it's a dead tree. So Jay Maisel wrote a wonderful book, and we actually helped produce this. So we did the production on it, and it's called Light, Gesture, and Color, and I think it's Jay's seminal work. And what it says is this, and this is very important. It says, for a shot to be good, it has to have something special about it. It has to have great light, like maybe it's a very dark, dramatic scene or something. It's got to have or an interesting gesture. Like you see someone doing something they normally wouldn't do. Like let's say you see someone walking down the street and they're pretending they're a conductor and they're doing this thing and you got a picture of them like that. It's a different, unusual gesture, and that makes it interesting, like, ooh, what's he doing? Or the color is just so amazing. It's someone wearing a yellow raincoat walking in front of a red wall. It's just something that is so neat or so cool or so interesting that you're just like, wow. Now, light, gesture, and color. What if you take two of those and put them together? Incredible light and an unusual gesture. Or an unusual gesture and great color. Like, what if you have a shot that has all three? Great light, great color, and they're doing something really unique. That's a special shot. That's what his whole book is about. But you know how many times I see a photo like this? And this is one I took years ago. So let's go down the list. Is the light great? No, it's stupid light. Is the gesture great? He's reading the paper, like everybody else reading the paper. Color, how's the color? Stupid. It's all stupid. It's a dumb shot. It's a nothing shot. It's a trash shot. And you know what? Making it black and white doesn't suddenly make it fine art. It doesn't suddenly make it better. It's still a crappy shot. So here's what it is. At the end of the day, there are things that make shots special. And I'm hoping that the 10 things that we talked about in this session, things that I wish somebody had told me earlier, that you can take those are all things right there that you can do tomorrow without having to buy gear, without having to do anything crazy. They're really mental leaps that we make and understanding how kind of basically the fog clears and you go, yeah, keeping it simple is really important. And yeah, maybe I probably should be on Instagram. Maybe I should be selling my images. There's so many things that I wish someone had just sat me down and told me straight, just like I did you there. Well, I've got some great news for you. It's very exciting. It's lunch break time. So it's 1:04. So we'll meet back at 2:05. That gives us 15 seconds for me to tell you the next part. So I'm going to take a break here for just a minute, stand up, drink some water, which is just off stage. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer your questions. And then we'll all take a lunch break. So we'll take in 1 hour. We'll be back at 2:05. So I hope you'll join me then. And until then, I'm going to take a 60-second, 90-second break. We'll be back to answer your Q&A. And if you don't stick around for the Q&A, have a yummy lunch, and I will see you at 2:05.